I joined the team back during the Skype ages. Kuri was there too at the time. All of that, the team and everyone else worked through Skype. And Alex had a lot of trust issues. And all of us tried our best to tell Alex that the game works like this, so this is how things should be done, but he would not believe us, and it would require tons and tons of screenshots and video evidence, and it would be really hard because the game was old. There wasn't enough videos for things like so specific as how much money you'd make after a race if you placed just according to all of the things that you can get at the end of the race, the little icons that make it so that you get a few more carrots or a little bit more XP. For example, when you finish a skill on your horse profile, that was implemented not too long ago in this server version. So yeah, we'd have to get a lot of evidence for that in order for Alex to believe us. So it was a lot of work most of the time, and sometimes we couldn't even get him to understand that this is how the game worked when we couldn't get proof. So again, it was just not very friendly. Most of the time he would prefer to just work on his own and not let us help him. Anyways, I did get to help with some things, so that was fun. But just eventually I got tired of not really being able to do much, and just it didn't seem like I was doing anything there, so I left on my own. And then years and years later, other people that are my friends joined the team, and I tried to rejoin back because from what they told me, it was more productive now. Like I could actually do things regarding my area, which is design. And yeah, I was hopeful. And I also knew that they needed Portuguese translators, and I'm Portuguese. So in the beginning, I tried to apply for translator, and I even went to the extent of getting my old translator cheat sheet from when I worked in the team before and doing translations on my own and then send them the file. But that still didn't work out because again, they would just always put me on hold and then not really reply. And then I would insist and ask like, so any responses yet? And again, nothing. So that sucked. And the translation, from what I knew, was very much in need, not just the Portuguese, just of people working on it. So I don't know why they have such big trust issues, but they do, and that will translate into the present as well. Then I also tried to help the team without being in the team. I DM'd them asking if I could help them by them saying what they need, and I told them my skill set, and if I could maybe do things from the outside, because I knew they had trust issues. And that still got me to nowhere. One of the people in the team commented this in an Alicia Discord server that I manage. I didn't really like that because it's not true. I know of people that have volunteered, but they just get ignored or just don't get really to nowhere while trying because of their said trust issues. So yeah, I then responded with this, including all the things that I've sent and showed that I could do. I've also been aware that they need more people who can do 3D, and at the time they needed more people who could do textures, and it is what I showed them that I could do with examples. For example, a very specific example that I got is, if you notice in the Alicia files, all of the swim shorts for the guys that they put out were very limited on how they could edit them, remake them, because they couldn't properly clean the original texture to get like a nice little like blank canvas type of thing so that they could then add whatever designs or color they wanted. This is the original shorts, and then they made some orange ones that if we look close at the texture, clearly they couldn't completely clean the original image, so they had to place the stripes that way. and the stripes don't even have much texture, they're just like a blank color. Yeah, so I figured that they couldn't properly clean the texture, so I did that for them, and I sent them that so that they could perhaps use it themselves and, you know, just make other shorts that they would want if they wanted to use that. And I made some textures myself, and yeah, that still was just brushed off again. Didn't really get a reply to that. Then I also decided to make a launcher because, well, a sketch launcher, because I'm tired of the ugly one we have, and I missed that game start button from the original game. Again, it is something that they said as a reply to that they didn't know if they could make the original and animated button and all of that. And I told them that I could make it myself and give them the animated version like what they needed. And again, to that, they didn't reply further. So again, I don't get it. It's like they present you with an issue to counteract anything that you give them, and you're willing to just give them, like, in a way for free. Like, I don't need to be on the team, I don't care to be on the team, I just want to help the game, if that makes sense. And then they're like, oh, but we can't really do this. I'm like, oh, I can do this for you, and I can send you here whatever format you want. Doesn't matter, I can make it all for you, just tell me exactly what you need. And again, they just don't take advantage of that. I know that a launcher is not something important, but this is an example that would apply to anything else that you give them, because I'm sure many players and people who follow the game could help Alex as a programmer, because I've seen people comment many times in the beginning when Alex first was looking for volunteers that they had programming skills, but I'm guessing that Alex wants to kind of keep all the power to himself. You know, while he's the only programmer, things will be easier in a way for him. He doesn't have to try and trust someone else or give someone else work that he can do because, I don't know, a lack of teamwork maybe, or ability to do teamwork. So yeah, it just all feels like excuses, because they could most definitely find a way to give people the opportunity to help without giving them power. It should be very easy to give someone, for example, a channel without a powerful role where they can just exist in the Discord server, and they could, for example, go to them and say, we would need this, like, oh, for example, I don't know, oh, we are retexturing horse coats. Guys, present us with your version of a better coat, a better black, whatever, where maybe they could clean up those green spots and make it a pretty black. So stuff like that, and then people could just give them, and the team could use things. I don't understand the difficulty of that. Just, it all seems so easy. Or the pet recolors they've been doing, they could easily suggest to people who would want to volunteer, again, without giving them power, we need pet retextures, you know, give us your options, like, do some things and we'll see if we'll use them.
Yeah, they really are not that hard. I'm sorry, but they're really not that hard. Yeah.
It's not, but they don't, of course. Again, all because Alex has trust issues, Kuri has trust issues. People can only get in the team if they like them, and they, as in the current team members, like the person. And the way to know if they like the person is not by actually getting to know them, is by figuring stuff out from the outside. Like, as an outsider, you look at the person, what do you think about them without really interacting with them? Whatever opinion they form on that person, that's what they're sticking to. And that's how their decision will be made, if they like you or not. It's very childish. So, yeah, I messaged Alex shortly after that conversation between me and Shira in Alicia 101 chat. And I honestly messaged him with the intention of letting him know that, hey, your team is kind of, how do I say, at the time I was kind of talking more about myself and other volunteers, you know, it's not allowing people to try and come help because of their, I wouldn't say requirements, but I guess maybe nitpicking people based on, I don't know, their own issues. So this was my conversation, my useless conversation with Alex. And let's just say that when I was talking to him, that the reason why I have not been able to get back onto the team is because of Kuri. because Kuri doesn't like me. Shira also doesn't like me. Again, he doesn't know me. Kuri doesn't know me either, although me and Kuri were friends in the past. But then nothing happened between us. We just stopped talking because we weren't like close. We were just acquaintances, I guess, and we were nice to each other, if that makes sense. Like, nothing happened between us. And then suddenly she just decided to hate me, and I have no clue why.
Anyways, one of the few times that I commented on the Facebook posts, it was regarding the zebra coat.
And at the time I said, and I will quote, I said that the zebra coat, although gorgeous, and these are the words that I used, although gorgeous, doesn't fit into the game style. The coat is too good compared to all the other coats. Then I continued on with my critique, saying again what I just said to you, but in even longer words or even more specific. And my whole point was that the coat was too good for the current like style of the game. It had like so many details. It was overwhelming. So the other coats, I would love it if they all had the same detail the zebra coat had, including the eyes. The eyes were gorgeous as well. But
from that, they took that I'm rude
and mean, or I don't know, just basically you can't critique them. You can't give them like a straightforward critique without it hurting their feelings. I don't know. Again, just things related to being a bit toxic or in the toxic environment, which again I will talk about regarding how the team and the players interact, or the team feels about the players. So yeah, as you can see, them not liking me is very just facepalm, like without a base argument as to why they don't like me. Well, now I guess I know why they won't like me, because I'm talking about all of this. So continuing with the Alex screenshot. So I told Alex about this situation that was happening, like this one-sided hate between me and Kuri that I didn't understand, and he told me that I should look into it myself and figure out whatever I might have done wrong that I'm not realizing. And I was just thinking, like, that's crazy, because first of all, she's the one that has issues. If she wants to resolve it, she should come to me and tell me what's bothering her. I shouldn't be the one going after Kuri to resolve something that I don't even know what is. And just, yeah, if you read on the screenshots, you'll realize what I mean by a ridiculous conversation between me and him. So yeah, I wasn't sure how to end the conversation, because I'd had nothing else to say, since it was clearly not productive to talk to Alex, as he trusts what his team says over anything else, over the players, over the community. Just what him and his team decide and have their mindset to is what is, period. And after that, Alex, of course, has his opinion, will always be over other people's opinions. So that's kind of the chain of command. So yeah, our conversation ended there. So that's kind of the end of my story between the team and Alex and all of that. And now I'll get into the actual game. Now I want to talk about design issues. The team has had the opportunity to do things properly regarding, for example, horse slots. The horse slots were done the lazy way, so where Alex decided to stretch the UI and fit a horse slot there. And he has kept doing that until he no longer can, which is currently the issue, because right now the horse window is as big as it can get. It can't go beyond that, because when you shrink your window resolution, it's right on the limits of the window. So that's that. So from now on, hopefully he'll actually do it the right way. But at the time when horse slots were first discussed, he was presented with a better solution, which was my solution, that he could use a slider, a scroll bar at the bottom instead, so that from that point on he could just keep adding slots, more and more slots, infinitely in a way, or until he reached whatever number they want to go up to. And because of Alex's laziness, he didn't do that. Even though he confirmed that he could do a scroll bar, it was gonna be not super easy, which is, I guess, expected. But in theory, you will have more work now, the first time you're doing it, and then in the future, as you add more slots, it'll be easy, because you just have to add them into something that you already made the base of. So yeah, but he didn't do that, and he just kept doing things the lazy way, which is a pattern in all the updates. They always keep adding updates that no one really asked for, instead of adding the things that they have promised and talked about in the past, adding things that are actually important to the game, like bug fixes or anything like that will bring more content, I guess. Just, I don't see the need for emblems, for example, that tell you how many years you've been playing the game, since again, it's just compared to what we actually need. That should be something that could be added after the game is fully done. We don't have guild ranking yet, for example. We don't have horse skills, which is something they said that they were working on like a few updates ago and was gonna be added rather soon, and then it wasn't. So yeah, these design issues honestly happen with every update, just every single update. For example, also the fox that was made, the white fox that they made, the icon was very poorly done. It didn't represent the actual 3D version well enough. So just, yeah, these are just things that happen every time, and they don't have a designer, and I wish they would get a designer that could help them do that. And I'm sure there's many well, not many, but there's someone who's volunteered at least. So yeah, Alex has a very poor decision making in that sense. Whatever is easiest for him, he'll do, versus what's better for the game. Again, sometimes what's better might take a while, but no one has ever pressured the team to make an update every week. I've seen people in the comments suggest one every month, one every 2 weeks, like whatever it takes for them to manage their time better and not have to kill themselves with an update every single week. So, you know, quality over quantity. But again, that's not something that happens. Again, the real reason as to why Alex doesn't consider that an option, unknown. Just lazy, I guess, and all the fake promises he gives. Then there's also the situation where Kuri seems to always try to control people's opinions in the Facebook comments. You know, she's always there kind of moderating things. Whenever someone says something, she's there to say it doesn't actually work like that because there are things happening behind the scenes that you don't know about. The thing is, they should share with the community what they're up to. It would make things easier for them. They could have input from the community. They could take longer with the updates and do things better, taking into consideration that input. But no, they just have a Kuri there telling people that they're wrong because of things that they don't know. And they wouldn't know otherwise because the team's very closed doors about everything they do and what happens and what they could do, what they want to do, what they have planned, what so on. Now, Alex, going back to Alex, he discards opinions from anyone that is not in that small leftovers of the team that's happening right now. That those who quit the team don't have the right to opinionate because they were not dedicated enough to stay, which is just ridiculous and not fair, because the people that were not, quote unquote, according to Alex, dedicated enough to stay were pushed away by them, by, you know, not allowing them to give an input, by making it so that Kuri's and Alex's opinion was more valuable than other people's opinions. Even if everyone else agreed on something, if those two did not, then that's where that would be at, that nothing else would be done about it. Those two's opinions is what would matter, which just, again, does not make sense. There's a lot of emotional abuse. The work environment is not even remotely decent. Again, it's very poorly managed. There's a lot of pressure to the point where people would have to work during Christmas, during New Year's, throughout their birthdays.
Calls would last days on end.
Like, that's crazy. Just so people could get things done. But again, that could have all been avoided if they just started taking longer for the updates, managing what they're gonna do before the actual update day, not do everything in a rush on the weekend. It's just not good for the team. Neither is it good for the game itself, because the updates end up, again, rushed. There is a very big separation between the Russian community and the rest of the community. All because Alex is Russian. Like, the Russian community gets an input on updates. If the Russian community says no, then that update is not a go. What the Russian community says matters a lot to Alex, and matters the most to Alex. So again, not fair. Alex is completely blinded to any and all issues. He will always rely on what those team members in like Kuri and so on, whoever is left there now, say, and he won't listen to anyone else outside of that circle. And honestly, something that does prove that is my DMs with Alex. He just did not care about what I had to say. He just kept saying that maybe you're the issue. Maybe you're just not thinking hard enough about it. And then something that is terrible is that Alex changes his arguments 24/7 to get his way, and most of the time his arguments don't make sense. And I took note of a saying, and this might be a little bit rough, but it's how I feel, which is, it's harder to argue against an idiot than it is to argue with a genius. And I'm not trying to call Alex an idiot. I'm just saying that someone that isn't exactly trying to make sense. They're just trying to win the argument, and they don't care about any points you make, because they will find some way to go against them again, even if it doesn't make sense, whatever way they can find, just so they can remain right, just so they can win. So it's impossible to have a proper conversation with him and get to somewhere without there being some ridiculous things being said, ridiculous points being made. It doesn't matter how much patience you have, how you explain it, it just gets to absolutely nowhere. If he wants to be right, he will be right, period. And this goes a lot into the game's moderation, because Alex doesn't want to give the moderators power to moderate. No one can do anything unless they go directly through Alex. And obviously, if you're trying to moderate a game and have to go to the programmer every single time to ask about something, and then ask him to do that something, for example, ban someone or IP ban them and all of that, it would just make moderating something very slow and almost impossible, because Alex doesn't have the time nor the interest to do that all on his own. And there has been a discussion of creating a moderation system so that the moderators could moderate without always having to come to Alex, because that does nothing. Because again, Alex wouldn't have the time to do everything for everyone like that and be on time as well. Alex has been too lazy to make that system happen for forever now. There has been the discussion of trying to get people to moderate the game, but again, the trust issues come and Alex won't allow it, because he can't seem to trust anyone, and he's constantly thinking about the Russian community. Things like, if we don't first get a Russian moderator, then what about the Russian moderation? Like, we can't just get a moderator for English and Portuguese and Polish. Like, we need to get a Russian moderator first. So again, there's always this priority about his side of things, his community, which doesn't make sense, because they can, if we don't find a Russian, we quote unquote don't find a Russian moderator immediately, they will eventually come, and when they do come, they'll be put into their place to be able to do the moderation on the Russian community. But no, Alex wants to find them immediately, otherwise there won't be any moderators for anyone. Because of this, there's the big issue that everyone talks about, which is the community being so toxic, and names that shouldn't exist still existing. No matter how many warnings they get, eventually they come back. They have secondary accounts, etc., etc. Like, there's no proper way to stop them, because the moderators can't do their job, all because Alex is lazy. It would be important to say that a lot of things can be talked about, including showing evidence for some of the things that I'm saying, can be talked about because of how dangerous it is for those who already left the team. The leftovers of the team are so toxic that they will accuse anyone and everyone and go after them. Like, without evidence, they'll just go after whoever they can and tell them that I know, or I know all of these things because of you and you. And then, well, in the past, Alex has gone to the extent of stalking someone.
Finding personal IRL information of these people, information that is not easily accessible by the public, including even finding out people's location.
And that's such an invasion of privacy, and honestly, that's so crazy. Like, why does it have to be such an aggressive environment? Why would anyone have to go through someone doing this to them just because they decided to part ways with the team? Like, it's a very scary position to be in.
And I also want to talk about something that is being done that's illegal.
So the team does not delete accounts on request, and that also isn't an option on the website. And it's illegal to keep information in your server, including someone's IP address, against their will. That's why in most websites there's an option for you to delete your account. It's a right of all users. Again, the reason why it hasn't been implemented is because of Alex's laziness, but it is extremely illegal. And I honestly wish that people would pressure Alex to actually make this a thing. So if a website accepts users from Europe, then they have a right to request deletion, and the company has to come up with a legal reason why not. And this is because of the GDPR. In the United States, this isn't a thing, but the moment your game, is global, the moment you have European people in your game, then you have to give those people the option to delete their account. Otherwise, you are doing something that's illegal. Regarding the team and their relationship with the players, the team's honestly kind of a cult, and I'm being very light with how I use this word, like an actual cult. The mentality is us versus them, the team versus the players, because quote unquote the players know nothing, or oh no, they're asking us for more horse codes. Just how mean of them, like how dare they. All of this as if the team wasn't the one making the promises about giving them this and giving them that and working on this, working on that. The players are asking based on what they've said in the past, but then they couldn't pull through because again the team has very poor time management. The intention is always to contradict the players, and in the past there have been conflicts where the team was accused of stealing and using something that someone else made without first getting their permission. At first, Alex said that he did get permission beforehand, but then the person in question would come and, rightfully so, confront the team for using their creation without permission. It was then obvious that Alex had lied, yet he would just stay quiet and let the other team members take the blame. So yeah, that's all I have for now.